Okay, so I am super excited. Not only have I had a lot going on, I think, right, everybody has a lot going on, but I feel like I've just been so overwhelmed. I've had so much going on, and there's been such a positive response overall. But the first thing that I wanted to share with you was the fact that we have launched our website. Our brand new website is up and running, and I'm so very excited to have a whole redesigned website for us to utilize. And I think this will be a great success. I truly am excited about it. I am really excited by the fact that we will have our own forum on the new website. And that's really, I think, where I'm going to start working on focusing my attention is in the forum of our website. And this is partially due because I think it's like a good time to kind of get off Facebook, like not be entirely as reliant on Facebook as I have been, because I've been very reliant on Facebook. And so I'm excited to sort of branch off a bit and get off of just Facebook. And then I'm hoping that I will see you guys in the forum, and we will have a very active forum. That is probably where I will be most days during the week, during the daytime. So if you're needing something answered, it's best that you probably put a response or a post in the forum. And then from there, I'll be able to see and respond to your post. The IEP 504 group, I am so excited because it is with the success of this group that it allowed me to sort of launch my nonprofit. And I don't know, this has just been a really exciting time, right? Getting this nonprofit together. So I'm really excited that not only do I have the nonprofit together, but now we have this new website. And on the website, I'm excited to announce that we have a promo code for you to use. So the website does require somebody to join the website, right? And to get a membership. Now we have free memberships, which does limit what you are able to see on the website. Our bronze tier membership has not only access to the forums, but also to all of our blog posts. And I think the blog posts are really are just a great resource if you have not had a chance to read them. So we have it set up in two different ways. We have for the bronze membership, we have both a yearly membership, and then we have a quarterly membership. So it can be, you can either pay $10 a quarter or $25 a year. And so those are the two options at the bronze level. So I'm really excited to share with you, though, that at the bronze level, I have a promo code for you for 30 free days of the bronze quarterly membership. So you have to select the bronze membership and then select quarterly payments. And then I have this promo code, and it's right here behind me. So it's AESA April. And all you have to do is put in the promo code, and that will give you a 30-day free trial to poke around on our new website. And I'm really looking forward to hearing if you find anything on our website, anywhere from errors, because the website that we had somebody build for us, I mean, it's pretty massive. It's an extensive website. And that's part of the reason I'm really excited that we have this ambitious undertaking done. And I think if you find any errors, please let me know, because there's a contact us. And so I would love to hear if you run into any problems on our new website. All right. So I am going to make sure that the Facebook group has been able to find our live stream for this evening. I've been trying to migrate everybody over from being solely on Facebook into working more on YouTube, because I think YouTube really is a better platform, and it definitely makes the videos a lot easier to share when, I don't know, because like in the Facebook, when I was doing Facebook live videos, I noticed I was running into this problem that I can't share the video really. And then you can, like click and pick up the embedded link, but it's difficult to be able to do that. Whereas On YouTube, like sharing a video is super simple and everybody kind of understands what it is that you need to do to get the video shared. All right. So let's see now. So this evening, I'm going to start off with a few topics that were brought up in the IEP group that I think would be great for discussion this evening. So one was by Felicia, and she said, when should testing for assistive technology be requested? The school wants to conduct a new evaluation, and I requested an assistive technology assessment done because my son is already using low-tech assistive technology, such as a visual schedule and a communication board. They had a district rep call me and try to explain, and she made it seem like it would be a waste of time. He's going into the 3rd grade, and I feel like there could possibly be more of a need. So I'd like to cover all the bases when I get this evaluation done. So just as I brought up to Felicia, do you know it is worth getting this assistive technology evaluation done? Not why, I'm not sure why the district was trying to talk her out of it. My guess is the district struggles with having someone qualified to do the assistive technology assessments. I mean, that would be my guess. And it's worth the time to go ahead and get this assistive technology assessment done because, yes, as your child moves into 3rd grade, normally they're required to do a lot more writing. And so if they're required to do a lot more writing, then, and they have a problem, right, with written expression, then yes, they're going to need more potentially assistive technology help. And so currently, apparently they do use Chromebooks, but there's a lot of other things and a lot of other ways in which assistive technology can be employed. And there are other devices. Also, there's different software for different things. So one of the things for software that you can use was like a snap type. So you would take a picture of, say, like a worksheet, and then it would convert it into a fillable PDF. And I think that's great for those who have dysgraphia. So I think it's well worth it to make sure that you do go ahead and try out this new or try to push and get this new like assistive technology evaluation done, especially if they're only using low-tech items. Let's see. So so Kiri posted, and she said it was her first time posting anything, and said she doesn't have a very trusting relationship with her school. So it she's a little bit leery, which is understandable. I think a lot of parents wind up feeling that way and dealing with the public schools. And she said, my son is going into pre-kindergarten next year, and so we're going to be doing his initial IEP. In the meeting, we went over his evaluation results and discussed what should go into his IEP. But I don't have much time to go into specifics, but she said, I was under the impression they would write up a draft and then send it back, and then we would make changes until we arrived to the final IEP. But instead what they did is they sent her a prior written notice that she needs to either, sign or respond to in some way. And basically the prior written notice is saying that there's only 2 options. Either you agree with what they were proposing to do or you do not. And so she was wondering what she should check. Well, actually, if you do not agree with what they're proposing at the moment, then you would have to check that you don't agree with the entire proposal. And go ahead and let them know that so that you can start to take action. Because in a lot of states, if this is, because it seems like this is not the initial IEP, but a reevaluation probably from preschool. And you have to, in most states, you do not get to wind up signing the IEP, that your signature isn't needed on a reevaluation. And that's actually very problematic, because if it's not needed on the reevaluation, what happens is if you don't say, I don't agree with something, and do kind of like what's called a stay put, then you run into problems very quickly. Because what will happen is they're just going to institute the IEP exactly the way they want to institute it. So do be aware you do need to respond to the prior written notice. And I think you should respond to the prior written notice not only by checking that I don't agree with the entire proposal, but also send it with, you know, your email saying of what it is that you don't agree with and what you're hoping to resolve. So hopefully at that point, the school will then adopt those suggestions by you, right? And if not, then you may potentially wind up in due process. But hopefully either that or maybe mediation if you can manage to work things out. But any case, though, you know, you would have to escalate it. So hopefully not. Hopefully you can just send the email with the prior written notice, and then they'll proceed to make changes from there. Okay, so we've had a few interesting posts lately. So Elizabeth tonight, or earlier today, had asked, is it ever okay for a teacher or principal to yell at a child in a loud voice? My son with autism ran and hid today because he was upset. He wouldn't come out for the teacher, so the vice principal came out to get him. She ended up yelling at him in what my son says was a loud dad voice. I am pulling him out next year to homeschool, but I'm tempted to pull him out now. I just don't want any problems with my other son who will remain in the school. So I think she's a little concerned about potential retaliation, and it is a possibility. Now, I mean, hopefully that won't happen, right? But it is always a possibility and a concern. So just do be aware if you're not aware that that's potential, right? Like just know it could happen, but hopefully everybody will be very professional. And so what I would advise in this particular situation is to go ahead and write an email back and then let them know, that your son, he has autism and that he got scared and that when you speak loudly to him, that is a problem, right? Again, many children, especially children with autism, tend to have sensory issues. This is common and just very common knowledge. And often they are hypersensitive to noise, so they're really responsive to noise. So something like yelling at them in a really loud voice, I could easily see would overwhelm many children, especially too if they have issues with sensory processing disorder. So that's another way, because again, it's another common co-occurring condition, autism, with autism is sensory processing disorder. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so we have Erica who wrote earlier today. She said, my son is in second grade going into third, and constantly it's a battle for services. And I think many parents feel that way. They feel like they're often battling for services, right? So the school provider said he did not need OT as his fine motor skills are okay. He has always been in the average range for his fine motor skills, but he has always been given therapy. Could I not write? So he cannot write on the line. He has mixed upper and lowercase letters. They're spaced all over the place. Letter size is all over the place, and it hasn't changed much since kindergarten. So the quality of the production of the handwriting, right, hasn't improved since kindergarten. And should I request an IEE to also, and that it came back below normal. His tracking is not typical. Spacing is not at grade level, neither is the use of capital and lowercase letters. His fine motor skills are average. The only thing that was really off was his motor coordination was almost 3 standard deviations below the mean. So that's like 3 grade levels behind, right? Or just it's significantly impaired. So she was trying to figure out, like, what is it that she should ask for? So this is kind of an interesting case. So this is what you would call dysgraphia. And it would be, what it sounds like is, it would be visual spatial dysgraphia. And so visual spatial is a problem, literally like where your body is in space, that you have a hard time perceiving where, say, like the point of your pencil would be when you put it on the paper. It's hard for you to aim and to hit the same spot over and over again. So if that's the case with this visual spatial dysgraphia, what should you do, right? And she's showing that the fine motor skills is just general fine motor skills, like to manipulate a button or something like that, that those are fine. You know, those are in the average range. Now, she doesn't specify here like what's considered average, because I've seen in a lot of assessments where they will put the standard score of 25 and say the child is average. Well, that's true. The child is considered average at a standard score of 25. But what they don't tell you is at a standard score of 24, they would be considered below average. So your child is kind of right there at that borderline, you know, and therefore I think it's reasonable to, you know, kind of look at that score as below average and sort of take that into this bigger picture, right, of potentially what may be going on with the student. So with this visual spatial dysgraphia, but he has good fine motor skills, what I am thinking it may be is actually vision issue. Something like convergence insufficiency could possibly be the problem. Again, it would be hard to determine without getting a proper eye exam. And it's not the standard eye exam you would go get, you know, just kind of anywhere, right, from a typical doctor, typical eye doctor. I've heard of kids who have passed these eye exams with, you know, 20/20 vision. So that would not be necessarily what you're looking for. What you're looking for is either a functional or developmental ophthalmologist. And the ophthalmologist, often you'll find places too that can do vision therapy. And so they too could do a functional vision exam. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for something called a functional vision exam. And my guess is in a functional vision exam, we would find out that there's problems with his eye, the input to his eye, and then him being able to find things visually, you know, visual spatially. And that would be my guess as to why there's been such a big struggle, yet the tests on the fine motor skill have been coming out as average. So Avani had asked earlier, she said, do parents ever request an IEE even if the child is already on a 504 plan? And so this was a great question. And what I did is I went back and I researched, right? Because, you know, how do we learn everything? We go look up the information. So in this case, there is a 504 manual that is meant for parents and educators that was put together by the Office of Civil Rights. And this 504 resource guide is an amazing book. So if your child has a 504, I cannot urge you enough to please take the time and to thoroughly read through this document. It's a great document and really spells out like all the obligations and everything else of a school. So, and I'm going to drop that link in here. But I think it's really important you take the time to be able to go read this document from cover to cover. And on page 18, this is what it says. It says, if the school does not agree to evaluate the student, the school must inform the parent of his or her rights to challenge the school's decision. If the parent disagrees for any reason regarding the identification, evaluation, or educational placement of his or her child, the parent may seek an impartial hearing, often called a due process hearing, that provides the parent with an opportunity to participate and permits representation by an attorney to a review procedure. Also, the parent may have a specialist or other educational professional who is independent of the school to test his or her child. School districts are required to consider information from a variety of sources from sources in interpreting evaluation data and in making placement decisions. And the independent evaluation is another source that makes up the universal information about the student. So that would be an IEE. It would be a parentally done IEE. So absolutely, you can get an IEE done. I don't think you can get a publicly paid IEE necessarily unless you went to due process and then the hearing officer required it. But that was an absolutely a great question, I thought. Let's see. Let me go check the room here because I know that we typically have a lot more people join us from the IEP group than I'm seeing on tonight on YouTube. So I'm hoping they'll be able to find us this evening. Let me see. Okay, so this way now I'm kind of on both. So I'm both on YouTube and on Facebook again. So hopefully people from the group will join me. Again, I'm trying to work on sort of transitioning us off so that we're not always on just Facebook alone, but that we are also kind of using other platforms. And that's partially because Facebook's been a bit buggy for me lately. So I'm not sure how you guys have been using Facebook, but I know some of the controls and things that I've been trying to use, I've been having all sorts of problems, and it's been difficult, which again has just sort of encouraged me to try to work on jumping platforms. And also, I think it's really nice because on YouTube, you're able to share the videos easily, while on Facebook, because I do these videos in the IEP 504 room, they're not easily shareable at that point. Let's see. I know I've been helping a few different people today. It's been a busy day today. So very excited. All right. Okay, so let's move on. Lisa said, small victory to report. Yay. I always love when parents come back and they post any kind of success they've had from, information or help that they gained from the group. And she was saying, well, this is huge for us. And she said, I was informed today that my son's SPED coordinator, who has been absolutely amazing, signed a new contract with the school today and will be with the school for another year at least. She is his fourth coordinator in 2 years. She's like, phew. It's really tough because sometimes the school personnel turnover happens just, boom, boom, boom. It's really fast. And it can be incredibly difficult. So I'm really excited to hear that, there'll be some consistency, because with many children with disabilities, part of what they're really, really needing, they really need that consistency, and they just don't get it often in the school environment. So this causes a whole lot of anxiety and sometimes a lot of behavioral problems. And I am sure that she is quite relieved that everything will stay the same for her child next year. All right, let's see. So I am waiting for some of the members of my group to pop on and ask questions. If not, we may be leaving early tonight. I was going to say, usually our videos last for quite a while because I do span and offer help to people in all 50 states in the IEP/504 group. And I give guidance to everyone literally across the nation. And I absolutely love it. And I am happy to help. And I am really ecstatic, like I said, when parents come back and say the information they had learned from the group or on my website has been really helpful. So I did want to share, and I kind of mentioned it earlier. Hi, Jessica. How are you? So I did want to share, like I said earlier, we had our new website go live, and I'm really excited that our new website has gone live. We just went live 2 days ago. We are still working out all the kinks in this website. There are quite a few, and I don't know. I'm really hoping we can get everything smoothed out here before the end of the week. But I did want you to know that we do have a promo code, AESA April. And AESA April is the promo code that's good for the bronze membership. And the bronze membership quarterly specifically. So make sure you sign up for the quarterly membership, and then that'll allow you to use this promo code of AESA April and allow you onto our brand new site and to come look and see what all we've got going on. I do have forums on my website now. I'm really excited about this because I think this is going to allow me to be able to kind of, like I said, make that jump and get off of Facebook and more onto my website. I'm really trying to spend like less time on Facebook. I've been spending a lot of time on Facebook. So Jessica was just asking, you said, oh, your website is up. Yes, it is up, and actually was up previously, but like now our new one is up, right? Our new one has gone live, and I'm really excited. Same web address, right? So aesa.group, and aesa.group will take you to that main page. On that main page, you do have to sign up for a membership. So memberships are free. So free, you are limited in what you can see and use on the site. The bronze membership, that's what I was just saying. So I have where you can pay quarterly, just $10 a quarter. And I have the promo code, AESA April, for the quarterly membership, and that gives you 30 free days of the bronze membership. And then you can just pay for a yearly membership for the bronze level, and it's just $25. That's it. And that gets you not only access to the forum, but also gets you access to all the blog posts. And I think the blog contains a lot of really great information. And then let's see. So we have the blogs and the forums. What else I've got? Oh, so I've got like the Read Scholarship is up, and that reminds me, it's part of what I'm really excited to share. So with the, part of the reason we're charging these membership fees is because I'm trying to find a way to essentially fund the nonprofit, right? And I'm really excited to share that 30% of all membership revenue is going to be diverted into the Read Scholarship. So the Read Scholarship is our program where we're going to be able to enable families to receive a $3,000 grant from us, or a scholarship from us, to help them pay for an attorney to pursue due process. So I think this potentially could be a really amazing opportunity for many, many families who are struggling to get the school to do the things that they need to be doing, right? I'm so excited about that. And then we have the information up for, of course, our EESA conference that is here in Arizona, along with our AT rental. So we're starting our own assistive technology rental business so that people will be able to rent assistive technology pieces. Sometimes it's very difficult, and assistive technology is very expensive. And I'm excited too to be able to work on this program in order to offer people equipment that they need, but do so at a reasonable price that they can afford to, kind of rent this equipment to be able to use it. So we got a lot going on, and there's a lot of programs. Also, I'm working on the podcast, and I've already started it, and I'm hoping to have that published soon. And let me think. What else is there? I see there's one other big project that I can't remember. I mean, like, I have a lot of stuff that I've got working and kind of going on and working. I know one of the things too is I'm working on kind of like, I guess sort of like advanced advocacy. So something beyond just the most basic of advocacy information, but more it's discussing additional things you really need to know if you are interested in being like an extremely good advocate for your own child, or potentially working on advocating on behalf of other people. So I have Terry who's helping me put that together. I'm very excited about that. And thank you so much, Terry, for her help and her input. Okay, so Ginger was saying, she said, hi, is it within the parent's right to request official service notes from providers on a regular basis? Also, is it reasonable to ask providers to collect data each time they were working directly on a goal with your child? Yeah, I would think it would be within your right. Now, I mean, like, I don't understand why it wouldn't be within your right. So what I mean by that is, if you have a goal, right, in your IEP, you're going to have to collect data. So why aren't they? I mean, how would they be able to prove that the goal has been done or worked on or whatever without collecting data? So that confuses me. I mean, I don't see then how are they showing that the goal is measurable, I guess, right? So we're talking about a SMART goal. Is the goal a SMART goal? If the goal isn't a SMART goal, maybe that's really inherently what the problem is that you need to then fix the goal so that it's measurable, and they're required to collect data because you have to. That's how you're going to measure. So I hope that answered your question. But that's the only thing I can kind of think of as an answer. And then, you know, because I don't see how you could do a goal without collecting data. And then also, is this the school's staff, or is this some consultant or something, an outside party who is contracted by the school to provide services to your child? I know it's confusing, right? But it's important to know, because if it's school staff, then they should be collecting data, and then that data should be in your child's FERPA, like in their cumulative folder, and you should be able to access it through a FERPA request. Now, if they were an outside party, that might be a little bit different, and you may have to go in and do a HIPAA request. You may need to find out like what agency or what's the name of the business, and then go there and do a HIPAA request and get the information. So that's why the reason I was asking, I don't know. I mean, like, but there's a couple of ways potentially you could access whatever data may be available. So just know that it is possible. All right, let's see. So do we have any other questions for this evening? Let's see. Kind of checking through the group here. I know there have been a few comments. And hi, Jenny, how are you? I think I'm a little lagged here for when you guys are coming on. So one question I was asked earlier in the group was by Anne, and Anne was saying that she needed some assistance, that my one son has a 504 and he is 12 years old and has ADHD. And then my other son has an IEP and he is 10 years old. So she's saying the school is claiming that I'm 0.1 miles from getting free busing. But when I clocked it myself, it was not 1.9, which is what Google says. It says it was 2.1 going into the school and 2.2 coming back out of the school. And she said that was the direct route on sidewalks. So I think you're really kind of splitting hairs here. And not you, actually. It's the school is really splitting hairs here, right? So she says, does having a 504 IEP, and she was saying that she's in New Jersey, right, help her in fighting this? Well, actually it does. So both in the 504 and the IEP, there's something called related services. And so related services are, well, it's a whole variety of things, right? But one of the things that is covered under related services specifically is transportation. So as a related service, you can ask for transportation, and you would ask for the transportation due to your child's disability. So like for your 12-year-old, you know, it'd be due to their impulsivity and and just kind of general potential unsafe nature, right, of him walking alone along the sidewalk back and forth to school. And then to help you with that, I would suggest getting a doctor's letter kind of explaining this also, of why it is not a great idea for your child to be, walking back and forth next to a busy road. And then you said the other child has an IEP. So IEPs definitely have related services and have transportation as a related service. And she didn't mention what potential disability her 10-year-old has. But again, it's the same argument, right? You would be saying, hey, my child has a disability. No, it's not really appropriate for my child to be walking. Most of the time, the reasoning is because it is unsafe for them to do so. Again, poor lack of judgment, issues with impulsivity. There potentially could be a whole host of reasons. And that is what you would have the doctor put on the letter, on their letterhead, that you would then submit to the school as reasonings for why you needed transportation related services. So Ginger just saying, interesting. She said, I believe all the info is given to the school district. So that still doesn't let me know though, right? Like, are the people who are working with your child, are they contracted with the school district? So you may want to find out. If they aren't, then all the information should be there. And if you haven't done a FERPA request, I would highly urge you to do so. And I'm going to drop a link here that it's a sample letter for a FERPA request. And like I said, that's what you're going to want to submit. And you are absolutely entitled to view all information that is in your child's cumulative folder. Okay. So now, that doesn't mean you're necessarily entitled to a printed copy of everything in your child's cumulative folder. They potentially can charge you for that information. But again, you would have to see, and there's some mitigating factors, because if you need it for like an IEP meeting, they shouldn't be charging you. Also, say if your child qualifies for free or reduced lunch, then again, they shouldn't be charging you. So there are some reasons they shouldn't be charging you, but I just want you to be aware, okay, that technically you're only allowed to view it, but potentially that's okay. You might be able to take your own pictures with your phone. And if you can't take your own pictures with your phone, you can at least flag certain things that you want a copy of right then, and then see later about potentially, getting a copy of the whole file if need be. So, all right. Okay, so Jessica says she has a question. She said, my son's evaluation report describes his deafness and his speech disorder, but he was deemed eligible for special education based on his deafness alone. Is that normal? Is there supposed to be only one primary qualifying condition, or do some kids have multiple reasons for qualifying for an IEP? Often I find this is kind of a per state thing. Most states, though, will allow you to have like a primary eligibility, and then you have secondary eligibility. So I know like in Arizona and Nevada and Alabama, even where I was. So yes, all three did allow for secondary eligibility categories to be placed on the IEP. So I'm not sure. Like I said, it depends on your state. However, do realize that it's okay if it's not listed on there, because what really matters, according to case law, is not what the primary eligibility is or what any of the eligibilities are. What really matters is, does your child have the things that they need in order for them to receive FAPE? Do they have that? If they have that, if they have what they need to get a free, appropriate public education, then they have all that they're supposed to have, right? And so what's literally listed on the IEP doesn't really matter. So just be aware, right? It may not be that big of an issue. The real issue is, does your child have FAPE? Okay, so that's what you want to think about and look at. Oh, and just to kind of address this, I would put the fact that he is deaf as his primary eligibility, and then I would have speech as his secondary, because you would, assume, right, his speech issues are related to the fact that he is deaf. Like it is because he is deaf, he has speech issues. And so therefore, I think it should be a secondary eligibility if you were going to have it listed as a secondary eligibility. Let's see. Oh, and so going back to Ginger's, right? So she said some are employed by the school district and some are contracted. So that's very interesting. So do keep that in mind. If they are contracted, they may not have the information there at the school, right? How weird is that? You would be at whatever their place of business is, potentially. So you may want to do, like I said, a HIPAA request and get that information, or find out what you need to do in order to get that information. Now, technically, the school should be supplying it to you because they're the ones who hired the contractors in the first place. But if they are not and they don't have anything in the file, then I would try going to the place of business and doing a HIPAA request and pulling any information that they have available. So Tricia says, hello, and nice to see you, Tricia. And she said, we did get denied for homebound as expected, offering a 504 despite doctor stating she couldn't go back for the rest of the year. They ended the email with letting us know if you choose, they ended the email with letting us know if you choose to do the 504 suggestions. Okay, so it depends on what you want to do. Now, technically, the school can wind up doing anything that it wants to do. That being said, that doesn't mean everything that they want to do is necessarily legal, like by the law as it should be. So here's my question. If you take the 504 and you utilize it, is it going to solve your immediate problem? If it solves your immediate problem, then you might want to go ahead and take the 504 and then leave yourself open for the avenue to pursue due process. But at least get your foot in the door. That also gives your child rights under special education, because then they'll have rights under the Rehabilitation Act with their Section 504. And with that comes the ability for due process. And then you can go forward with due process and then argue that you should have homebound services. So I'm not sure what they're offering you with that 504. And so that's what I'm saying. Does it solve your immediate problem? If it does, you may want to go with that, because it's just going to be the quickest and easiest thing to do for in the immediate future. So Ginger just said, thank you. I have asked to get the service notes provided as part of my initial IEP going forward, but I am getting a lot of pushback about them being provided in the first place. Okay, don't worry about that. And did you write specifically a FERPA request? If you did not, then I would do so. Because she said they suggested I can file a FERPA later, which seems unusual to me. Yeah, no, you file a FERPA now. I don't know why they're telling you later. That just means they can produce them later. Because under law, once you file that FERPA, they have 45 days to produce the information, and that's the max. Now, most schools turn around and produce it sooner because, again, they just have to produce a folder and let you see it. So if they're not producing it right away, that would kind of make me wonder, are they not producing it because they're over there faking data? Sounds like it in a way, doesn't it? Or at least makes you think that. So I absolutely would file the FERPA request, because that starts the clock. And you can go ahead and use that template letter, and that'll help you out a lot in writing your FERPA request. So, so Tricia was saying they're just for accommodations at the school. Yeah, I don't think, if the doctor has written a note, then trying to think of probably what's the best way. I mean, you can just go straight to due process. I mean, one would rather avoid that normally, right? It's not like you're trying to run to go get due process done. So if you weren't, you could potentially ask for an IEE to stall things in the interim. If you sign the 504, then that gives you rights and protections. You could send her for a day or two and then pull her and file due process. And then, and again, then you still wind up in due process. There should be some other avenue that you can complain. You can, I would think, be able to appeal the decision for the homebound in some way. Again, that would be probably through due process. I mean, unfortunately, it sort of looks like for you to do what it is that you're wanting to do, you would be pushed into due process. So the only other recommendation I have to kind of bypass and not go into due process would be just to be to pull her and homeschool her for the rest of the school year. In the end, that would be the easiest and least painful thing of all the options before you. Otherwise, I think you're going to wind up in due process, unfortunately. And again, I am only a parent advocate, so I would highly encourage you to consult a lawyer, because I think they would be your best bet also in potentially kind of pushing the school along to get them to accept the doctor's letter and to provide homebound services. So Jamie says hi, and hi, Jamie. I hope you're having a great evening. She said, we had a reeval that was approved yesterday, finally, after 3 requests this year. Well, yay. Glad to hear that you got it done, because it's always hard, right? So the first thing is just trying to get your foot in the door with the school. So you were off to a good start. And she said, the school is new to us this 2018-2019 school year, and we moved due to a hostile previous district and a horrible IEP that had been written. So the new school district has had this IEP and present level and goals, but they don't reflect our son so far, and so far the school year. So with that being said, the school has finally agreed to a reeval. Is our letter that was written on 3/20, where consent to the reeval was given by us, start the 60-day timeline. That's a really good question, because I know parents who have given written consent when they sent in the letter requesting the initial testing for their child. But often school districts have their own form they want you to sign that's giving consent. And then the other problem is, and this is part of the law for consent, is that you need to understand what it is the school is planning to do as far as assessments of your child. And it's difficult to do that, right, if you haven't had that meeting and sort of discuss what it is that you think and the school thinks needs to be assessed in the first place. So I'm not entirely sure how to answer that. It doesn't happen too often, but I have to say, I don't honestly know. So my gut feeling is no, because the school has their own procedures to parental consent. And again, to give consent, you have to understand what it is that the public agency is going to be doing. And you can't do that until after you've had the meeting. So I am going to drop that law there for you to read. Okay. All right, so Tricia was saying that what they are offering is the 504, right? And like I said, that is the big thing with the 504, is that if you do take it, then at least that does give you some rights, which right now she doesn't technically have any, because they're not otherwise recognizing her as a child with a disability. The why, I don't really know, right? Because the doctor has written a note. So I guess that's why they're trying to offer this 504, but they're not complying with the doctor's note, and I think that's an issue. So, I wonder if you could escalate that actually on the health side with the school nurse and sort of, the district level nurse and the state level nurse. So I wonder, have you talked to them yet, Tricia? I would try that avenue too, I think, to see if you can find any help. I think potentially that could be good and helpful for you, okay? So Ginger said, thank you. So hopefully that answered your question. If you run any more problems, Ginger, just let me know, okay? And then Jessica said, I think you should remind people that all the reference materials you have under your file section, I forget about this section, and I bet other people do too. Probably so. And I was going to say, and not all groups utilize the file section, and I absolutely do. It's not uncommon that I will find, say, a peer-reviewed journal article, and I may pull that article and then share it with the group so that you too can read the information. Also, I have in there the AESA parent tracker for the prior written notice. And the idea behind that is that the things that you are requesting from the school, that you can write that on that parent tracker, and then it reminds you to collect some of this important information, like who's going to be collecting data, right? And when are they going to be collecting data? So those are important things that you want to know, and those should be in the IEP. And then also, if the school denies you things, then you can make sure that you mark the parent prior written notice tracker. And so when your prior written notice comes in, did the school address that, and did they give a reason for why you were denied? If they did not, that's a problem, because that is in the law. They're required to give you the information. So that was why I like that. And also on that very last page in that file of the AESA prior written notice parent tracker, I know, sorry, it's a really long name for that file. Anyways, in that very last page in there, I put basically information and instructions on the law that, all kind of went into the formation of that document. So Terry was saying, join the website. Yes, please join the website if you have not. Again, that's aesa.group. And for the bronze membership, for the quarterly, I have a promo code of AESA April. And that gives you 30 free days to poke around the website. And again, you will find me more often now during the day, Monday through Friday, especially during the daytime hours, that I will be in the forums on the website versus in the Facebook group, okay? So I just want you to be aware that's where you're going to find me if you need some help immediately. So Tricia said, thank you, and you're quite welcome. I hope that answered your question. Jackie joined. Hi, Jackie. I hope you guys are feeling better. She's had a lot going on between her and her children. So I hope they are doing well. It's tough when I don't have Jackie up to par to help me with the group. All right. So Jamie was just saying thank you for your help and your link, and have a good night. So I hope you have a good night too. Tricia said, no, I haven't talked to the nurse. Great idea. She's had chronic absences with 15% of absences being sent home. Also, do you have documentation of that? Like, when are they calling you and telling you to come pick up your child? Because I'll tell you now, if the school ever does that and they tell you, your child is misbehaving or your child is whatever, and you need to come and pick up your child and take them out of school for the rest of the day, then you tell them, fine, I will come in, I will do that, I will pick that information up, but only after you write and document all of that for me. So that's what you want. You want that documentation, because if your child already has a 504 IEP and they are chronically missing school because the school is calling you to come and pick them up after 10 absences like that, it's a change in placement. So do be aware and keep an eye on those sort of things, because often schools will do that to people. And again, it's not fair, because the school should be handling whatever the situation is. So be aware. And so Tricia did say yes. And she said that, did you make the health log yourself? If so, that's brilliant. So yes, do keep track and track that information, okay? Because, yeah, 15% of her absences from being sent home, there is like a change in placement. She can't be a general education student. She's not there. Matter of fact, I'm surprised they haven't called the truancy police on you yet. And that tends to happen a lot too. Okay, so do we have any other questions this evening? This is a slow evening compared to many evenings. So I will say one of the things that I did get to speak locally to a group yesterday on Autism Awareness Day. I was very honored and was very excited to get to talk to a group of parents about autism in the educational setting. And I think we had a great talk. The kids were playing Legos in the back of the room. So it was a bit of a challenge because we were interrupted a few times by the ruckus in the back of the room. But thankfully, I have 3 children with autism myself, so didn't faze me a whole lot. But yeah, it was loud and it was crazy, but it sure was a lot of fun. And I hope that the people who came there and I had a chance to meet them benefited from the talk that I was able to give. So Tricia said that she has one, and they provided one. So that's really forward of the school. I don't hear that often. That's great news. And so I'm glad they were documenting what all is going on, and not just sending your child home and not documenting that information, because that is typically what I hear. So, but yeah, you'll have to make a decision on what you want to do. And I think that might be a little tough. But we will do whatever we can to help support you in whatever decision that you decide to make. So Terry was just saying that extended school went well. So Terry, I had recently helped her with some advocacy help, and she was able to meet with her school just recently and help advocate for her son. And Terry had a lot of great ideas and opinions, and she had written out a parent agenda, and it was fierce. And so I was able to go in, and all I did basically was take the things that she was wanting and the things that she was saying, and I just referenced law all through it to help her. And it turned out that extended school year went really well. And I'm sure Terry can also tell you in the group that she had the district coordinator sort of applaud her for her knowledge and being so thorough. So yay. Great job, Terry. It was very exciting. Like I said, I like hearing when we have sort of these successes, right, from the group and the information that we're able to provide and share. So Tricia was just saying, she was just curious, should that have triggered child find? Yes, it really should have triggered child find, in my opinion, because, typically students aren't absent end on end, like they don't have 15% of their school attendance as absences. And if you were getting them excused through doctor's notes, then that should have kind of caused the school to suspect your child may have a disability. And that's what the law says, right? Does the school suspect your child may be disabled? And so if they have reason to suspect, they're really supposed to test. So I would say, yes, I do think that should have triggered child, like the start of the child find process at that point. But again, I'm really surprised that like truancy cops or something haven't been called on you, because normally, again, that's what I hear. The parents are really frustrated because they're pulling their child out because the school is telling them to, and then they're like, hey, you have so many absences, we're not going to start these truancy proceedings against you. So Ginger was saying, curious whether if I present an eval that I obtained privately to the team, does that eradicate their responsibility to provide an evaluation for that area of concern? No. So I can post the law again for what is an independent educational evaluation. But when you do private testing, it is considered a parent paid or private paid independent educational evaluation. And so you have to make sure that your evaluator then is compliant with whatever the requirements are for the school district for that position. And then they're only required to consider the information. So even when you get one done at public expense, it's still the same threshold, right? They're there to consider the information and then nothing more. So, all right. Nope, sit down, please. Sorry, I had to get my children to have a seat. Okay, so I think that answered your question in short, which is no, they will still test, and because they don't have to do anything except consider the information. So that's what's going to happen, and hopefully they'll consider it and actually give it some weight, because the schools can do that if they choose to, but it's not required. So it's very difficult. Let's see. So Tricia says, they withdrew my son this year based on truancy instead of school phobia. However, for two years, have not been contacted by a truancy officer. We requested an officer to help us. Wow. You know, that really scares me too in a lot of ways, right? Like, you know, what's going to happen if you have this truancy officer show up at your door all of a sudden, because it's going to be so long. Like, I would be a little concerned what would happen, and they would drag you into court. So I'm glad that you did request that the officer help you, and hopefully they did so. But yeah, I would have some concern with that. So do be careful with what's going on and making sure that you've got everything documented. So in case you have to appear in court. So Ginger was just saying that does answer her question. So glad to hear it. And Tricia was saying, and now they're denying her daughter. So yes, that sounds about right. This is often what happens, and it doesn't make any sense. So because it doesn't make any sense, don't give up fighting. Okay. So again, potential 504, you could accept it and then file for due process. You could just go ahead and file for due process. You could ask for an IEE. You could go to due process and ask for an IE. There's several options. So you just really need to decide what it is that you want to do. Unfortunately, many of these do end in due process, which is why it would be worthwhile, I think, for you to consult a special education attorney. Okay. So I think that would be a really good idea. Okay. So I think if that is all the questions we have for this evening, then we may be wrapping it up a bit early this evening. But again, I do hope that you take the time and stop by our new website. Please let me know if you find any kind of bugs or glitches, as we are still working these out, since our website has only been up for 2 days. So our brand new website has been up for 2 days, and I know we've already caught a few bugs and glitches. So if you do find some, please go to the contact us and let us know about these bugs and glitches. Also for membership, as I said, the bronze membership is $25 a year if you just want to pay for a yearly membership, or you can select the quarterly membership and use the promo code right here behind me, which is AESA April, and get 30 free days of bronze membership, so that you can go and post in the forum and read all the blog posts that are available. I think that's it. So make sure to, if you live locally, do check out our conference, the EESA conference. really excited about this conference that not only promotes the Empowerment Scholarship Account, but also promotes homeschooling of special needs children. So we had a lot of stuff going on, and we're really excited about all these different directions. Also, the Reed Scholarship, as I said. So do make sure you check out like all of our programs that we've got kind of like up and running now. I'm so excited. Okay. I know y'all are probably tired of hearing about it, right? But I'm tickled. Okay. Again, focus, Michelle, focus. So you are very welcome, Tricia. Again, if you need me, do post in the forums. That's where I'm going to be most of the time during the day, as I'm trying to get off using Facebook so much during the day and stick to answering questions and posts in the group in the evening. So you will find me. I'll be in the group in the evenings for an hour or two a night, being able to answer posts. All right. Also, if you really need me, it is possible to PM me on Facebook, and that is another way to reach me. I answer those as I have time, though. So do be aware, okay? All right. Well, everyone, thank you so much. We will do this again next week. Please let your friends know. Please also don't forget about YouTube, right? So go make sure that you like the YouTube channel and that you subscribe to the channel. And right now, I'm still kind of doing these in both Facebook and YouTube simultaneously, but I don't know how long I'm going to wind up doing that too. So just be aware, and also look out for our upcoming podcast. I hope to have that done before the end of the week. All right. Well, thank you so much, and you guys have a good evening. I will see you next week. Bye.
That was tiring, right?